Hello, welcome back to the channel. Paget here, and today I want to show you a really unique exercise that fires up the muscles in your butt and your lower back. But before we get into the exercise, if you're interested in lifestyle medicine, longevity, rehab exercises and stretches, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. That helps to support me, so thank you very much. So for this exercise, we're going to be down on the floor. Specifically, we need a wall or a block or something that you can push your feet on. So what I want you to do is this. You're going to lie down on your back and put your feet up onto the wall here. Have a rough 90 degree bend here. We can change that with different emphasis later on. So the first thing we're going to do is this. We're going to practice our glute bridge. So the glute bridge, ordinarily is done like this, right? You're pushing up, contracting the glutes and hamstrings and lowering down. But what we want to do here is get this specific spinal segmentation moving slightly differently, okay? So we're going to push up into this position and then roll down by posteriorly rotating the pelvis. So that means bringing the pubic bone towards your belly button and then going down vertebra by vertebra. So if I just make my t-shirt a little bit tighter here, we go like this, down, so that's my mid-back here, next piece here, next piece here, next piece here, all the way down. Okay, so that first part is really about coordination through your back and firing muscles in certain sequences. Now what we want to do is this. We want to see if we can do a pelvic tilt, and for those of you who don't know what a pelvic tilt, it's simply a question of moving the pelvis one way, then moving the pelvis the other way. So if you look here, you can see my back is now arched. There's a little arch in here. That's tipping my pelvis towards my feet, so we can call that an anterior pelvic tilt. And then if I shut down that arch and I push flat down here, now that is a posterior pelvic tilt. So we want to see if we can get this type of movement going when we're up against the wall. Okay, so back into this position here, lifting the hips up just a little bit, not much, maybe 2 or 3 inches, 5 centimeters or something like that. And then we're going to go into a anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt. Okay, and just come down from that if you're doing that with me. So what we're going to do now is add some breathing into it. You're going to breathe in, let your belly expand slightly as you do the anterior pelvic tilt, which is the arch, and then you're going to breathe out as you do the posterior pelvic tilt. So we're in this position here, hips up, everything's loose. You should feel tension in your hamstrings, tension maybe in your feet here, and you're going to go breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Good, and then back down. So we're really isolating those pelvic movements whilst putting some tension into the hamstrings. So there's one more layer to this. What I want you to do now is put your hands on your tummy, lift up your hips, and see if your belly bulges out. We don't want it to do that. We actually want your belly to get stronger and contract and even go inwards just a little bit. So imagine someone's about to step on you. You would be tensing your tummy like this. So someone's going to step on you, or imagine someone's punching you or something. Tense your tummy so that it doesn't hurt you as much. Now hold that tension in the tummy, lift your hips up. Now do those rotations with breathing. So breathing in, breathing out. Keep that tension in your belly. Breathing in, breathing out. Keep going. Forwards and backwards. Exactly. We're going to get a whole bunch of different motions here in that lower back. Different muscles firing. Good. And come back down. All right. So how do we make that a little bit harder should we want to progress it? Tons of different ways. So I'm going to go through a few different ways, and then I will link to something in the comments below for different foot positions. So first thing we're going to do is move your butt backwards or move your feet higher. So now it's going to be a little bit more taxing on my hamstrings to get my hips up, okay? From here, same thing. Breathing out, breathing in, but keeping tension in your belly. Breathing out, breathing in. So getting that belly to move. Or we go the other way. We go closer to the wall. And now I've got more than 90 degrees, and I push up. That's actually just a little bit easier. but it can be harder to separate out the pelvic movements because the motion in the hips is already taken up in what we call the sagittal plane. You could try that one. So for me, this one actually creates a little bit more fatigue in my lower back muscles. So to strengthen those tiny muscles that go down either side of the spine, the multifidus, the lumbar erector spinae, this is the one that I would be doing. Now, I know my feet are in shadow here, but we can actually alter the position of the feet on the wall. So very quickly, I'm going to go through what I call a matrix. And we'll put a link to this below. So this comes from the Gray Institute in the US, and they call it the 27 common stance positions. So if you imagine my feet are shoulder width apart, from shoulder width, I could vary them in this horizontal plane. I could go narrow, lift my hips up, do the motion. I could go shoulder width, lift my hips up, do the motion. Or I could go wide, lift my hips up and do the motion. Okay, so we've got 3 different movements there. But I could also go narrow with 1 foot forward. Then I could go narrow, other foot forward. I could go shoulder width, 1 foot forward. Shoulder width, other foot forward. Wide, 1 foot forward. Wide, other foot forward. So now I've combined changes in the, what we call the sagittal plane with changes in the frontal plane. But there's another plane, the transverse plane. So now I'm going to start with just the feet next to each other, but toes pointing inwards. Move the hips up and down. Toes pointing outwards. Move the hips up and down the pelvic tilt. So that's narrow. Now I'm going to position them shoulder width apart. Move the pelvis. Now I'm going to go internal rotation with the toes. Move the pelvis. Now I'm going to go wide. Internal rotation. Move the pelvis. Wide external rotation. Move the pelvis. And so now I've introduced the transverse plane, but now we're going to combine all those different movements. So narrow, toes in, 1 foot forward. Move the pelvis. Narrow, toes in, other foot forward. Move the pelvis. Narrow, toes out. Move the pelvis. Narrow, toes out. Move the pelvis. Shoulder width apart. We'll stick with toes out because we're here. Move the pelvis. Other foot forward. Move the pelvis. Toes in. Move the pelvis. Toes out. Sorry, toes in. Other foot forward. Move the pelvis. Last set is going to be wide. 1 foot forward. Toes in. Move the pelvis. Other foot forward. Toes in. Move the pelvis. Feet out. Move the pelvis. Other foot out. Move the pelvis. Good. So there's 27 different positions we can pre-position the feet in to create a different motion in the hip joint and ultimately a different stressor to the lower back. So this exercise, if you follow that through, maybe 3 repetitions on each foot position, is going to give you a great workout to those, specifically those small erector spinae multifidus muscles around the lumbar spine, and fire up your glutes and fire up your hamstrings. If you followed along with me, you should be feeling it a little bit in your lower back about now, and that's all perfectly normal. Now, after you've tried it, let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if there are other things that you would like to learn about or would like me to make a video about, just let me know. Now, if you have scoliosis or back pain and you really want my opinion on your specific case, send me an email or a friend request on Instagram or Facebook. Tell me a little bit more about your situation and maybe we'll hop on a call and make a plan for you. If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a like, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, click on the notification bell so you don't miss my next video and send this channel to a friend. Thank you so much for doing those things. Your support makes a huge difference. Stay tuned for my next video because that will be up soon. But until then, I hope you have a great few days.